You don't need to shout to make an impact. You don't need to raise your voice to be respected. You just need to become the person nobody can quite figure out. Someone who can't be easily influenced, who doesn't get seduced by flattery, and who's too unpredictable to control. In a world where people reveal every emotion, where attention-seeking is the norm, the one who moves in silence becomes the one they fear. And nobody understood this better than Machiavelli. Power doesn't live in noise. It lives in mystery. You've been told to be nice, to be open, to share how you feel because it builds connection. But that's a half-truth. People don't actually trust what they understand. They trust what they fear. And fear is born the second someone looks you in the eye and realizes, I have no idea what this person is thinking. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when the balance of power tips in your favor. That's when you stop being someone people manage and start becoming someone they walk on eggshells around. See, terrifying people aren't built through chaos. They're built through control. Emotional control, psychological control, total control of self. You become untouchable when you don't crave to be touched. You stop obsessing over reactions. You stop explaining yourself. You stop leaking your plans like a fool begging for approval. You let them watch you and wonder what you're capable of, and you offer them nothing. From this moment on, your mission is simple. Become the storm no one can predict. Move with quiet precision. Speak only when you choose to, and when you do, make every word count. Smile without offering warmth. You don't need their praise. You need their uncertainty. That's how you shift from being liked to being remembered, from ordinary to unforgettable. If you already feel this stirring in you, write it down now. I don't chase respect. I command it. This isn't just a motivational talk. This is the start of a transformation. First lesson: kill your need to be liked. The fastest way to lose power is to crave approval. The moment people sense it, you're finished. Niccolo Machiavelli said it clearly. Men must either be feared or crushed, never loved unconditionally. Why? Because love is unstable. Love can vanish when it's inconvenient. Fear sticks because it's tied to control. And in the game of power, control is everything. Perception beats reality every time. You cannot intimidate anyone while begging for validation. You can't look powerful while asking for approval. You become harmless. Approval is a leash, and most people wear it like jewelry. You walk into rooms muting your ambition, softening your words, shrinking yourself to be accepted by people who wouldn't shed a tear if you failed. That's not connection. That's self-betrayal. You're sacrificing your strength so others can feel more comfortable, and they don't even respect you for it. You could give them everything: your time, your energy, your soul. And the second you set a boundary, they'll vanish without hesitation. You were raised to think being likable was an asset. It's not. It's a survival instinct of the weak. Likability is currency in a world built by approval junkies. But power? Power is allergic to desperation. The second they sense you need their approval, they drop you into the easy-to-control category. You become the person they can flatter, manipulate, and discard without guilt. You don't need to be cruel to escape this. You need to become emotionally unavailable for approval. You need to kill the little boy inside you who wanted to be the favorite. You need to bury the people pleaser who apologized for being bold. You need to silence that inner voice that says, "Was that too much?" Because power doesn't ask for permission. Power makes decisions. And the more you crave approval, the more you disappear in the eyes of those who hold it. Here's the truth. People refuse to swallow. No one fully likes a person they can't control. Speak your mind without diluting it. Set hard limits without blinking. Walk away without apology. They won't praise you. They'll resent you. They'll say you've changed. You've become cold, arrogant, selfish. Let them. That's the tax you pay to step out of mediocrity, to be feared by manipulators, to be immune to emotional games, to live on your own terms. Watch what happens when you finally stop chasing approval. The energy in the room shifts. People hesitate before speaking. They weigh their words more carefully. You stop blending into the crowd. You become the axis around which the room rotates. Why? Because you no longer play by their emotional rules. You've chosen to be the signal among static, and it unsettles them. From now on, you don't soften your words for approval. You sharpen them for impact. You don't explain your moves. You execute them. You don't ask if your choices are acceptable. You say, "This is who I am." Let them feel the chill in the air. Let them sense your distance. When you stop chasing their approval, they start chasing your attention. If you're done playing small, comment this now. I walk with quiet power. And from this day forward, never explain yourself again. Make them wonder about you, not understand you. People can't fear what they fully grasp. Predictability makes them comfortable, and comfort destroys influence. If they can chart your emotions, predict your behavior, know your every move, they'll never see you as powerful again. Machiavelli warned, "A ruler must know how to be visible, yet impossible to read. Present in the world, but hidden in intent." Because power isn't about what you do. It's about what they think you might do. If they can decode your reactions, you hand them the blueprint to your mind. That's how manipulators find your buttons. That's how fake friends use your kindness against you. But when you withhold your reactions, when your words are measured, your presence unpredictable, you create hesitation. And hesitation is the beginning of power. Mysterious people terrify the insecure. Why? Because insecure people feed on control. They survive by reading others, manipulating emotions, predicting outcomes. But when you become unreadable, when you starve them of predictable reactions, they lose that power. You become a puzzle they can't solve, and that drives them mad. You don't need to raise your voice to make people feel your presence. You need to become impossible to calculate. Speak less. Pause before answering. Walk away when they expect a reaction. Let your silence cut deeper than their words ever could. Because in the void you create, their mind starts to play tricks on them. They imagine your anger, your retaliation, your next move. And often, their imagination is far more terrifying than any action you could take. Look around you. People obsess over those who send mixed signals. They overthink every word, every glance, every silence. It's because the lack of clarity forces their brain into overdrive. That's the key to psychological dominance. Tension without resolution. Predictable people get ignored. Mysterious people get chased. Don't be the guy who shares too much, who explains every move, who's constantly trying to be understood. Be the man who disappears when he chooses, who speaks when necessary, who returns with quiet strength. That's how you hijack their attention. That's how you rent space in their mind without ever asking for it. Your goal is not to be understood. Your goal is to be felt. When you enter a room, people should adjust themselves before they approach. They should wonder, will he speak today? Will he listen? Will he approve or walk away? That uncertainty is your power. It creates invisible pressure. And pressure is how you establish dominance without aggression. If people feel too comfortable around you, you've revealed too much. You've let them decode you, and the decoded man holds no mystery, no power. This is why you don't explain your silence, you don't explain your absence, and you don't share your inner thoughts unless it serves your strategy. Your energy should feel like a signal, sharp, brief, hard to interpret. Let your presence say what your words don't. You don't get to understand me. You get to respond to me. When people start fearing the loss of your attention, your approval, your insight, that's when you've won. Understand this. Being mysterious isn't about being fake. It's about mastering the art of exposure. You don't hand over your soul for free. You show only what enhances your influence. You reveal nothing that can be used against you. Stop explaining yourself to people who want to use your openness as ammunition. Let them wonder. Let them overthink. Let them stay up at night guessing your next move. The more they guess, the more they respect you. Comment it now. Let them wonder. Now let's talk about charm. Not the fake charm built on forced smiles and empty compliments. Real charm, the kind that unsettles people. See, real charm is not about being liked. It's about bending the room around your presence. It's about commanding attention without trying, influencing people without even touching them. And here's the brutal truth. True charm doesn't come from warmth. It comes from precision. Cold charm terrifies people because it feels intentional. You're not being kind because you're soft. You're being kind because you've chosen to, and people sense that. It throws them off balance because they can't figure out your endgame. People think charisma is about friendliness. It's not. The most magnetic people in the world are calm, quiet, and distant. They don't jump to impress. They don't fight for attention. They make eye contact that lingers just a bit longer than expected. They speak when necessary, and when they do, their words land like thunder. You don't have to be overly talkative to dominate a room. You need to make people feel seen without giving them access. You don't let people in. You let them orbit around you. You don't bond through vulnerability. You test through distance. You don't flood people with compliments. You use them like arrows, sharp, rare, and unforgettable. When you charm without emotional attachment, people spiral. They obsess. They replay the conversation. They dissect your words. They analyze your body language. They crave more because you gave them just enough to stay hungry, but not enough to be satisfied. That hunger becomes attraction. That tension becomes control. Remember this: proximity gets attention. Distance creates power. You can talk to everyone, but bond with no one. You can show surface-level interest without offering vulnerability. You can offer compliments like tools, not gifts. You create gaps in your interaction, gaps people feel desperate to fill. They'll try harder to impress you, to earn more of you, to get closer, and that's when you win. This is why you don't waste energy on meaningless conversations. You don't flirt for fun. You don't chase pointless connections. Every word, every gesture, every pause is deliberate. Everything about you must feel selective, rare, and calculated. And when people sense you're emotionally distant, they become addicted to closing that distance. The moment they feel like they almost have you, you pull back, not with cruelty, but with composure. You leave them with silence, and their minds do the work for you. Cold charm doesn't push people away. It pulls them in deeper. You don't want to be known as the nice guy. You want to be known as the presence they can't quite figure out, the person they can't stop thinking about. Friendly people are forgettable. Strategic people are unforgettable. From now on, your job is not to make people feel good. Your job is to make them chase your attention and fear your absence. You don't hand out energy. You make people earn it. Comment this now if you understand the shift. My silence is seductive. Your words are not invitations. They are weapons. Your presence is not comfort. It's leverage. You don't become more attractive by being more available. You become magnetic by being rare, by being disciplined, by being distant. From this moment forward, your mindset shifts. You are no longer in the business of giving people access to your emotions. You are here to observe, not react, to see everything, but respond to nothing. Weak people react. Powerful people observe in silence. Because the more you react, the easier you are to predict and control. History's most feared individuals shared one trait: emotional discipline. They witnessed the insults, the betrayal, the lies, the noise, and remained still. They moved when no one expected it, and that's why their silence carried more weight than 1,000 threats. You don't earn respect by fighting every battle. You earn it by leaving people wondering why you didn't respond. You confuse them with your calm, unsettle them with your indifference, and dominate them with your restraint. That's real power. Imagine this: a hawk soaring high above. It doesn't panic, it doesn't bark, it doesn't chase. It waits. It studies. It strikes when it decides. And when it strikes, it's lethal. That's who you become now. You don't bark, you don't flinch. You wait, you calculate, and you choose your battles like a king picks wars, rarely, but decisively. No more defending yourself to people who never cared. No more correcting fools who distort your words. No more emotional outbursts that expose your vulnerability. From this day forward, you let them talk. You let them project. You let them underestimate you. And then you let them suffer the consequences of underestimating you. Reacting is their power over you. Silence is your power over them. You don't chase respect with reactions. You build an unshakable aura through stillness. The less you react, the more unsettling you become. People will call you cold, detached, arrogant. Let them. They are revealing their own weakness. The man who can't be rattled, who doesn't respond like the herd, becomes an anomaly, and anomalies dominate. When you're the only man in the room immune to emotional bait, you rise above the noise. You shift from participant to observer, from pawn to player. From now on, before responding, pause. Before speaking, observe. Before acting, calculate. Make them wonder if you even notice the insult. Let them wrestle with the fear that you know more than you show. Because when they can't predict your next move, they fear you. And fear is power. Comment this now if you understand the value of silence. My stillness is my strength. Control yourself, and you control the room. Control yourself, and you control outcomes. The man who controls himself terrifies the world, not because he is violent, but because he is unreadable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. You don't move out of emotion. You move out of decision. And decisions made in silence cut deeper than emotional outbursts ever could. Most men are slaves to their urges. They eat when they crave. They speak when they feel. They lash out when they're triggered. That's why they are controlled. You are not most men. You will master your cravings, your reactions, your impulses. You will choose your words like a surgeon chooses his instruments, carefully, precisely, and only when necessary. This is how power is built, through quiet, relentless self-discipline. You want respect? You want influence? Then master the first battlefield, yourself. Wake up early, even when you want to sleep. Speak only when it serves your purpose. Say no when it's easier to say yes. These small acts of restraint build a presence that people can't ignore. Discipline radiates through your body language, your eyes, your routine. It speaks before you do. People feel it before you explain it. You don't need to announce your power. It becomes obvious in your aura. When others drown in their comforts, you will sharpen yourself in discomfort. When they waste their mornings, you'll dominate your mornings. When they chase instant gratification, you'll play the long game. You will choose clarity over chaos, discipline over distraction, and self-control over self-sabotage. And soon, people will sense it. They'll speak to you more cautiously. They'll approach you with more respect. They'll rethink their tone before addressing you, because you've become the man who doesn't bend to external forces. You've become the standard. Master your emotions and you'll make people uncomfortable, not through threats, but through undeniable presence. The man who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't crave applause, who doesn't fall for manipulation, becomes the man people fear to disrespect. That's how you change how people treat you. You don't beg for it. You become it. You master yourself so completely that others adjust themselves in your presence. Comment this now if you've chosen this path. I rule myself. No one else does. And remember, your discipline is not to impress. It is to own yourself, to dominate your own life, to build a presence that walks into a room and changes its atmosphere. You don't need loud speeches or violent threats. You just need to move with quiet, relentless authority. The man who has mastered his mind doesn't need to convince people of his strength. They feel it. They see it in his calm. They sense it in his stillness. And it shakes them because it reminds them how weak they are in comparison. So you rise early. You train while they sleep. You refuse temptations they chase. You choose silence when they lose control. You master yourself, and in doing so, you terrify the world. But you don't stop at self-discipline. You sharpen another weapon, politeness. Not the fragile kind that comes from weakness, but the controlled, sharp kind that unsettles people without ever raising your voice. In a world of emotional outbursts, a calm thank you can feel more threatening than any insult, because politeness, when wielded correctly, is a weapon. People expect anger when they provoke you. They expect emotion when they insult you. They crave validation when they flatter you. But when you give them nothing, just manners, composure, and stillness, they don't know how to process it. Your calm becomes a psychological trap. Your formality becomes psychological warfare. They smile to provoke a smile in return, but you offer a nod. They insult you expecting a reaction, but you give them a calm stare. They flatter you, looking for validation, and you meet them with indifference. Most people confuse politeness with weakness. That's their blind spot. You will turn it into your advantage. The most dangerous men in history didn't bark. They whispered. They didn't rage. They observed. They didn't react. They waited. And when they moved, it was surgical. From now on, you are polite because it disarms. You are composed because it unsettles. You are formal because it confuses. You will shake hands with your enemies. You will toast with your rivals, and you will do it all without revealing a single emotion. People will start to realize something terrifying about you. They can't read you. They don't know if you're amused or bored, if you're agreeing or calculating. And when people can't read you, they start projecting their insecurities onto your silence. They fill the gaps in your expression with their anxiety. That's power without effort. You didn't insult them. You didn't raise your voice. You simply refused to play their game. And in that quiet refusal, you dominate. From now on, you'll use formality like armor. Speak less, but say it with absolute clarity. Compliment rarely, and never with enthusiasm. Decline requests without justification. Smile, but without showing your soul. Be polite, but always untouchable. Your emotions are no longer for public consumption. They belong to you, and you alone. People will have to guess what you think, what you feel, and what you'll do next. And that guessing game will exhaust them. You'll see them flinch before speaking, hesitate before asking, soften their words before approaching. That's the effect of controlled composure. Comment this now if you've chosen to wield calm as a weapon. I smile with strategy, not emotion. You don't need to be aggressive to be feared. You don't need to be loud to dominate. You don't even need to threaten. The most dangerous men don't posture. They don't broadcast their power. They let their restraint do the talking. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. The threat of danger is more powerful than danger itself. The idea of what you might do keeps people in check far more effectively than anything you say. From now on, you won't talk about consequences. You'll imply them through silence. You won't display rage. You'll let your stillness create discomfort. You won't reveal your intentions. You'll let your movements be unpredictable. You'll become the type of man who doesn't need to fight, because people will rethink their approach before even trying you. You don't show the blade. You let them feel its presence through your aura, through the way you carry yourself, through the weight of your stillness. You become the man whose energy walks into a room before his words, whose silence is louder than anyone else's noise. No more defending your standards. No more explaining your boundaries. You enforce them through action, not debate. You don't threaten people with punishment. You vanish from their lives without explanation. You don't argue for respect. You embody it until they have no choice but to respect you or fear you. You let your eyes carry the message your mouth never needs to speak. I don't need to show you what I'm capable of. You'll feel it. You don't aim to be feared by everyone. You aim to never be underestimated again. There's a difference. This is about reclaiming your power from a world that has conditioned you to apologize for your strength. You've been too soft, too open, too available. That version of you ends now. From today on, you walk like you own the space around you. You speak like your words shape reality. You move like you've already conquered battles most people wouldn't survive. You don't raise your voice. You raise their awareness. You don't shout. You force people to lower their tone around you. Comment this now if you felt this shift awaken in you. They don't know what I'll do. And that's the point. You've just unlocked a version of yourself most people will never meet. Calm, controlled, unreadable, untouchable. You don't chase power, you are power. You don't beg for respect, you make them earn your silence. You don't seek approval, You become unforgettable through distance, composure, and strategy. And from now on, when you walk into a room, they'll feel it before they see it. They'll adjust their tone before they speak. They'll rethink their behavior before they act. Not because you threatened them, but because you've become the man they cannot manipulate. If this transformation speaks to you, write it down, own it, and live it every single day. I've become someone they can't control. This is no longer about being liked. This is about becoming legendary. And from this moment forward, they will never see you the same way again.